Byron the Aquarius, welcome to Electronic Music Live.
Yes,
How
I'm
are
here.
you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Yeah, today been good. Thank you for inviting me on here. I appreciate that.
Oh man, it's an honor to have you. I've been such a fan for a few years now, and I regularly spin your music on my radio show and before COVID in the club. So it's great to finally meet you. Why don't you tell the audience, the listeners, a bit of an intro about who you are and what you're up to? And
Okay, yeah. My name is Byron the Aquarius. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. That's my main home, the home of Sun Ra. Where I'm from, I started off as a keyboardist, a piano player. Playing started with classical, went to jazz piano, and then after jazz piano, I went to school for music composition. So really, like I said, I started with the jazz and the hip hop. I did stuff with On Ra. That was my beginning of my my first vinyl with on the hip hop side, which I think that, oh my God, there was a minute. That was on Circulations label. I think that was in Japan. And then I ended up getting my introduction through house, through Alce, and then went from Theo Parrish to Carol Hall to Jeff Mills, and it went from there. So yeah, that's the introduction of me right there.
Amazing. And how did that come about? Like meeting Kai and the transition into house music. Where tell me a bit about that.
So basically, the transition it came from me. I started off going to I was going to JSU, which basically was so close to Atlanta. Alce is in Atlanta, so me and my friends used to skip college and we'll go up to ATL. It was having like the Morehouse Spelman parties, and Cal be throwing his parties at this party at Sound Table. A guy named Carl Injets, and they'll be throwing parties there. So basically, that transition was really me meeting my first show. Basically, just Lincoln was a big fan of Mark D. Clive Low, and he performed in Atlanta, and I got a chance to meet him and met also Dad's IQ, which is from Buzz in the Attic. Both, matter of fact, it was both of them. It was Kai Alce and Dad's IQ. And that was my first introduction. And I had my headphones on because I was kind of weird, as a kid. So I kind of like I had my Dr. Dre headphones on, had my laptop. So I kind of like to go to clubs. That was my first time going to a house party. And it just felt good. It just felt free. And, I felt like it wasn't no blocking. I could just be myself, and they was playing all styles of music, Kai. And I like to soak that in, and I had my laptop, and I just started creating music. So Kai came up to me and he heard my jazz chords, what I pretty much was making. And he was like, yo, after the party, come to my place. And I was like, yo, I don't have no place to crash. We gonna go back to the college. He's like, nah, you crash in my spot. And so it went from there, and Kai started playing me Omar S, Theo Parrish. And I just started playing keyboards on all Kai Alce productions it was at least a while. I always played on his productions. So Kai really gave me that introduction to house music from him being from Detroit. Because in my city in Alabama and Birmingham, yes, we have Sun Ra, all the greats, but it's not really no electronic scene in my city in Birmingham. So that's how that chemistry happened.
Wow. So and you obviously resonated with more from like shifting from sort of the hip hop background or fabric. You sort of started to see, I guess, a connection with the house music, like seeing you felt a bit more free with that, or like it was just a natural kind of thing to move into.
For me, I say it was very natural. I guess with me, now, if I just probably was just a keyboardist, it would have been different. But it's like I played jazz, and I already knew the NPC because I was, like I said, a big fan of Jay Dilla. I mean, not just the Donuts album, you know what I mean, with all the, everybody know. Yeah. But I mean, I really followed deep and hard of his productions, the stuff that he did with D12 Proof, that he was producing for Bizarre, all the stuff that Dilla did, the underground stuff. And I would listen to a lot of Dwelle. So I always had I had an MPC 3000. So So I always was making like that hip hop. And I feel like with hip hop, if you think about hip hop and just New York and just the history of the culture, I think with house disco, it's all, even with jazz, I think it's all together.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Some people don't think like that, but I mean, by me studying, even when you go through just the history, it all was connected in some type of way. So I guess for me, for learning the MPC, I feel like hip hop, to make hip hop, especially the type of hip hop I was making, like the Dilla, that type of vibe, you have to have a swing. You know what I mean? You have to. So when it came to the transition of Kai showing me, it was pretty easy for me to make that transition. I kind of just added my jazz, my natural feeling, my organic feeling, into just programming. And I think it made my music more, it made me different and it made me stand out because I added my flavor of jazz, hip hop, and created this vibe with the house music, you know? And that's pretty much, so yeah, it was definitely an organic transition when it came to me making the music.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I share the same understanding of that correlation between hip hop and house music. Hip hop has been, my early life, music life was part of, my early childhood was all about hip hop, and so it made a lot of sense to me. And I always describe that all sort of modern music is kind of from hip hop, right? Like a lot of modern electronic music. The concept of extended breaks and
oh no, definitely.
So
because when you think about African Bimbada and all, just their whole vibe of when everybody was using, like when they was using drum machines, and like you said, it's definitely an energy that's all tied in together as one.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. You mentioned some classical jazz training as well. Was that from an early in childhood? Was that something that your mom and dad got you doing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna even lie on the video. I'm gonna be honest. Like a class, my parents had me. I guess they want to keep, because in my city in Birmingham, it's definitely dangerous. They have got better. You know what I mean? But they want to keep me away from the streets, me and my brother. So they had these programs where they gave black musicians like free classes and things like that, and took us in, kind of like, Mike Huckabee, how he was doing, rest in peace, up in Detroit, they was doing those things. So it was one of Sun Ra teachers that played with Sun Ra, Doc Adams and Jothan Callens and Tommy Stewart, you know what I mean? They basically was giving free lessons. But the classical, my parents, I didn't like it because I started off, playing Bach, Debussy. As a kid, let's just be real. Now some kids like it, but for me, I did a lot of recitals and I did top notch on my recitals, but it's like, it wasn't something I liked. But I think the older that I got, you know what I mean, I really appreciated it because it really played a part with me knowing the keys. And I can, even when I'm DJing, I can hear a key automatically in my ear and I can be like, okay, I know to throw this in with this by hearing the rhythms and just hearing the DJ perspective as a musical perspective when I'm, doing my music. So the skill of classical did help. But my favorite was after classical, I got into jazz. Now, jazz was fun because I felt like with house music, how I felt, it just was more free. I could just be myself and kind of just improvise. So it definitely taught a lot with, because I started off, when I went into jazz, I was playing classical because, you classical, you're not trying to improvise. You kind of playing like with it's not rhythm, but you just playing so on the rhythm, quantized. And the teachers used to just hit me with a ruler. They're like, no, you have to improvise. But yeah, it definitely classical definitely did help me as far as the theory. But jazz, my favorite. I felt like that really opened the sounds of my head to a whole completely different world, studying John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, George Duke, just all the great people, you know what I'm saying, checking them out.
Yeah. I guess with classical, there's that learning of the skill of through repetition and
yes.
And I guess you kind of learn I guess the motor skills, you know, to kind of just like get that going. But then you have the free form of jazz is just like this of more of this sort of creation and
jazz is definitely
creativity.
Right.
Do you think if you didn't have the skills from the training classically, it would have been a different path or a different like, and if you still had stumbled across jazz as well without the classical training, do you think there would have been? And even now you mentioned like even when you're DJing now, you're finding that there's those skills come up. They like your brain, you know, comes up. Yeah, tell me a bit about that. What do you think?
I say if I didn't have the classical, and you mean like the classical in jazz, or just not having the classical perspective?
Well, just the classical perspective.
The classical perspective, for me, I say it definitely would have probably brought a different flavor. But I can say classical really helped me to be able to identify with just what I'm playing. Because, you know, when you're thinking about jazz, you're thinking about 13ths, you're thinking about knives, minors. Even when you listen to Larry Heard and all this stuff, it's like minor chords. And so definitely I can't say it still helped, but don't get me wrong. I still think it still would have been creative still, regardless if I didn't do classical. Because there's some musicians I see, like I went to Detroit, like Cal Hall. I was kicking it with him, and he'd been on the piano lessons and stuff, and he didn't come from a classical perspective. And I feel like it still opened your mind. I think sometimes classical, it can, especially if you keep doing it, it can kind of get you suckered where you're not trying to be free. I think jazz kind of made me more free, you know, because you can kind of be in a box. I think it's all producers, artists. Sometimes we get in this box where we like, I don't want to. So I could say still I would have been creative. It still would have opened my mind because I still had that jazz perspective. Jazz is really what opened it up for me, to be honest.
Yeah, like, especially with today, I think, like as I remember hearing a talk with Gerd Jansen, and I remember him saying, once you start to like it in particular with creating dance music and electronic music, and once you like start thinking that you need to go back to the classical kind of ways, then you've lost it. Like you've lost.
Oh no! Oh no! Definitely right, because it definitely changes now. You know, now I'm not gonna lie. From Jeff Mills, I learned a lot working with him. Like he's really influenced on classical and just the way he do things. So I think definitely it just depends on the artist and it depends on the person. You know, on just with the creativity. But I think, you know, if you kind of have a mixture of just all styles, and I think that's kind of what made me stand out. You know what I mean? I think us all as, you know, artists and beings, like it's just toward creativity. When you given the house or whatever you making just a different feel, you know what I mean? So in a way I say, you know, can't damage you. I still tell people classical is still good. Just to learn the theory, you know what I mean? Because me, I try to go farther with the house music, like, because even when I was in the studio with Jeff, he was like, we had horn players and we had a bass player in there. So I became like really a producer where I, you know, by learning from Jeff, I had to be like, hey, play in this key. You know, some musicians know stuff by because they were trained. So you have to tell them the keys. Some people hear, but majority of musicians, you have to like write the music out, tell them. So I can't say the classical perspective, it still helped in a way. You know what I mean? As far as me knowing the theory,
of course,
how to be a producer, like a Quincy Jones, and how to, you know, have band members to play different things when it comes to the music, you know?
How did the connection with Jeff Mills come about for you?
Oh, it was crazy. Like he hit me on Facebook, and I thought it was a fake email at first. So I ain't responded to this email for almost like probably like probably 5 days, a couple of days. Because I was telling my friend, I was like, yo, this Jeff like hit me up, and he just was talking about how He a fan of my music. He kind of respect my music. He like it. So I was like, for me, that was like real high respect. And then especially for a lot of people be thinking I'm from Detroit. So that was like a huge inspiration for me and motivation for me. Like, hey, I came from Alabama and I have like a pioneer that's telling me like, yo, I love your music. And he was like, hey, I want to do a release with you. Whatever studio you want to go to, we can go there. So we went to Atlanta. I chose the studio. It was a studio where Outkast record, Mary J. Blige. I told him that studio, I thought it was too expensive. But he was like, no, I got it. And he just handled it. He told me what musicians do I want. And I told him that I want Janet Jackson drummer. And he got Janet Jackson drummer for me. You know what I mean? He made it happen. Yes. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a great experience. Like I really, and then just Jeff coming to Atlanta, like it definitely was a great, great experience. Experience I never forget.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. And that was what release was that? That was on Access, yeah?
Yes, that was on Access Records. Yes, Access Records.
Did you do it? Was it just the one project that you did with Jeff?
It just it was that one project called the Beginning, if I remember. I'm so weird I'm so weird as a producer, man. Like I will make music and I don't listen to it no more. Like I just go through different moods. Like, but yeah, that's the project it was, and Jeff, it started off with me doing the production, and I let him listen to it, and he kept challenging me. He was like, "Nah, we want to go to the studio. We want to try to perfect this." And Jeff is definitely like a perfectionist. Like it's kind of funny, man. He kind of remind me when it comes to hip hop, like a Quincy Jones or like a Dr. Dre of like, you know what I mean? Because those guys are like perfectionists when it comes to the sounds, and he really challenged me. Even when I was jumping on the keyboard, he was like, "No, do that again." You know what I mean? We need to get this. He was like, "No, I want you to feel it. I want you to have feeling." It's like having musicians coming in, the drummer playing, man. He took me to a whole different type of level. So yeah, definitely a great experience. I was nervous. I was scared, but it was great.
Yeah. Well, I guess in those situations, you sort of tap into a part of you that you don't usually get to go to. And so when you've got someone like that who's pushing you out of your comfort zone, and it's like making you realize, oh shit, I can go there. I can go to this place. Yeah.
Yes.
and it's like challenging the nervous system, right? Like breaking out of what you're used to. Yeah.
Yes.
And you've also worked with Sound Signature with Theo as well. How was that experience with Theo Parrish?
Oh, Theo Parrish, it was crazy, man. So me and Kai Alce, he was working. We was working on just working on music. It came to the point where I had my daughter. Stuff just was hard. I'm not going to lie. Like I was working my security job. I still was able to make music at the job, So I was working like 2 jobs. My daughter was coming. So, I was bringing my which is my wife now, and brought her with me. And she was coming to God's place and kind of just saw what I was going through. It just was like a hard period in my time, but I guess he respected, because I was coming from Alabama, and I still will be there to make it happen regardless of my situation. It's kind of like the hard times kind of pushed me. It pushed me to a whole nother level. And Kai really made that happen for me. Kai was like, it's not really that much. He said he was teaching me the history of just Chicago, Detroit, New York, how you had Black pioneers that was doing it, but it's like in America, like it's kind of like you don't have that much that's doing it. He was like, we need more people and more legends and pioneers to be in this. And he told me, this is the right way you want to go. And he was, in the way he broke it down to me, he was like, if somebody is hustling on the street, you're not going to go to a block where everybody is hustling. You want to go somewhere where people is not. So I was doing the other type of in the industry stuff, because I ended up going to Detroit, working with Eminem, Denon Porter, Alchemist, doing that stuff. And it just was complicated, man, because it's like when you in that industry, it feel like you a rat chasing the cheese all the time. And they have a lot of producers in there. So he kind of guided me, and he saw all I was going through. And he was like, yo, I got Theo. He's going to be coming through. And these tracks that we making, the tracks you've been making over here, I'll let Theo take a listen to it. And I was like, yo, that's what's up. And I didn't know who Theo was because, I was still learning house music during the time he was teaching me. So he hit me up and he was like, yo, Theo want the tracks. He want to put it out. And I had my friend to take a picture of me and Kai at a party. And my partner from Birmingham, he was like, and then Theo was like, we want to use that picture. And it went from there. And that was the release, through Kai setting it up. So Kai really played a huge, help to me. And after that Theo project, that's when I just started touring a lot. You know what I mean? It went from there. Yeah.
So, yeah, it sounds like Kai was, a bit of a mentor for you in sort of how to kind of carve your own lane.
Definitely.
And creating your own sort of pathway here. Right. And I'm glad that you're bringing this stuff up because this is the sort of stuff that I want to be able to share with the people to kind of realize that there are ways of doing this and there are ways to not just follow sort of the archaic similar formula that we're
definitely.
There's ways to do this, especially today now with technology and stuff. Like people can really create a path for themselves that represents who they are and what they want to be doing. And
right.
I mean, if there were things that you could change into sort of the trajectory of getting further in your career, like in this pathway, what would be some of those things that not to say that they weren't good for you, but what are the things that you could say could have been avoided that would have led you to get where you wanted to go faster?
Just to be honest, I say the business. Like, as artists and producers, sometimes, it's cool for us. Like, we love our art. And I think that's be the problem. So we love our art. We love our music so much. But I think the business perspective, you definitely that's something important to learn, when it's dealing with releasing on labels. And I think sometimes we be so happy that we be like, hey, I'm happy somebody is taking this and we let it go on there. And, and I'm so happy you got a clap for it, which I just heard Larry heard. And they just was able to get their rights, back for the.
Yes, I saw that the other day. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So amazing. I was just hearing like OGs and legends just tell me they are the business. I say definitely the business. I definitely know now. Like I've been reading, I've been studying on it for a minute. But I think sometimes when we jump into situations, you got to make sure that you own your masters, and especially if you're creating the music, it's about. When you come in there and you collaborating with different producers, have your split sheet, you know what I mean? Know the percentage where everybody can, because sometimes it's, when we making music, we don't know how far that music could go. It might not be that day, that moment, but after 5 years or 10 years, the music happens, you want to make sure you have the business. So I say definitely that's something I wish I could have learned earlier, but I didn't learn it earlier. Yeah. I learned it through me going through the steps of it. You know what I mean? So
that's right.
Yeah, that's definitely something for everybody.
I totally agree with you there. I think there's so many complexities in the way people approach it because there's so many different layers of first there's. Oh, well, if I get too entrepreneurial, it's going to affect my art, or
yes, right.
If I'm and they don't feel comfortable about bringing up those conversations, especially in a collaborative situation,
right.
Where it's like, oh, I'm going to like offend them because I'm talking business, or you know what I mean, like it changes. Right. So when you start to, I think once you start to look at the and start studying the business, then it becomes part of the way you're thinking. And so when you are thinking of a project, there's two lanes. Like you're thinking of the music, the creativity, but then it's every project has a business model around it, and there's no shame in doing that. And I think a lot of people get there's a bit of shame in getting into the business model. You know, I think that has at least that's I've experienced that myself.
Oh, right, so
you know,
true.
Being
And I feel like if you think about it, the whole world has always been, you know, even when it came from just all style jazz, house, and just everything, just in general. When you think about booking agents, like when people bring you out, it's, you know, like even when I said the Theo Parrish project, it's sad it's like that, but most guys don't even know the music or really, you know the culture and try to study. Is more about, hey, this is sound signature, this is Jeff, this is Detroit. So it's kind of like a market, like, hey, this is Detroit, so we're going to market this, and this is what's going to bring you over here, you know? So it's crazy, but I think about it, it all was kind of based on that type of thing anyway. But to answer your question, like just to give an example, I got management now, so they end up getting me to LA. I went to LA and I end up working with Elton John keyboardist and producer, and they got me in the studio. And it got me in the studio with these other guys. And you're right. I think learn the business, but you know how to come at it. Like usually what I start in, just to give an example, when I come in the studio, just work creative. You know what I mean? Don't even think the business when you're working. Just be creative. And then when the music is about to release, then you come to the perspective and you be like, then you handle the business. But you're right. In any studio session, you don't just come in like, hey, this is the business, you know, because that will knock the creative flow out. You just
right on.
You definitely be creative first. Right.
Yeah, I think what like set up the get the business stuff out of the way, and it's done, and then it's time to get creative. You know, like
right, definitely.
You know, because it's like any kind of partnership or business model that you're walking into. If you don't have those kind of foundations laid out or what's involved, then when it's even like when you go to perform, you know, like if you know that the guy hasn't paid your deposit yet, and you're like about to DJ, and your head's like, fuck, man, this motherfucker hasn't paid me.
Oh my God, you ain't lying. That's why I'm not going to say one of my friends, but it's one of my friends right now that's going through that. And he went to Europe. He just spent his money to go to Europe. And I was telling him the market sometimes is kind of weird. You can play parties, but everything, especially since the pandemic, everything is based on you have to be on a booking agency, all this type of stuff. And he went over there. He was thinking he was going to get some shows, and they end up not responding to him. So I was like, you know, he played some shows and they really didn't pay. So I was like, that's why me personally, I have a family. So, and then even if I didn't have a family, I know I need a booking agent. I need a manager. For me, everybody don't need a manager, but for me being young, I'm like, I know I'm moving, I'm creating, I'm making all styles of music. I'm making house, I'm making rock music. I'm producing a lot of music. So it's like, I definitely do need a manager. And I think sometimes when you have a manager, not just any manager, but getting somebody that loves what you do, that's a fan of what you do. Because I think this is the problem that people run into when they go into managers. A manager, they all going to be like 15%. We want our percentage. But at the same time, you're going to have to know, hey, you need somebody to be a fan of your work and somebody that understands your vision or where you're trying to go. So when that happens, the 15%, those things don't matter because they helping you to get to the vision where you want to go. So for me, I can't say things have in my career been a little easier for me because I had a manager. So I was lucky enough to not be able to, I had to run around. I was able to have people I can speak to. I had my peers like Kai and like Jeff or Cal Hall, people I can call or just be like, hey, check this out. What do you think about this? Still able to get information. So I think it's good when you have a family and you can ask questions, you know what I mean? And that's the only way we get better by just asking each other, you know, through different people's experiences.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I'm so with you there. Like you need to have that community, you know, you need to have to build that and have the right people to talk to and bounce stuff off with. And what you said about having a manager who's in your corner that understands your vision, right on. Like that is super important. You're not just another artist on this massive list, you've got a connection with them, and they vibe off who you are, and these are very important things for an artist to surround themselves with, for sure.
Right, correct.
So what are you over the next 5 years? What's happened for you for the next 3 to 5 years? What are you working on that at the moment? Have you got something you want to share with us?
Oh yes, I started my label, Talknoise Records.
Yes.
And that's with big up to Mother Tongue in Italy. They were able to. I did a P&D deal. In which I was kind of shocked with the deal. Like they end up doing, because you have some deals where they pressing the records, they'll take a more heavier percentage, but they end up just taking, like, I think if I remember, 15% out of 100%, and the rest I can keep. So it was definitely easier for me, because I know me, I have a family. I can't be running around trying to press records and all that stuff. So I'm happy to have my label, and I know, like, I'm going to do house releases, jazz releases, punk rock. I want to definitely I want to do all styles of music, and releasing different types of artists. And that's a heavy thing that I'm happy about, that I have. And then too, having freedom, as an artist, able to, you don't have to, don't get me wrong, labels is great, but you don't have to be submitting to a label and they be like, no, I don't know about this. This is not of the standard. You know what I mean? You can be able to just be creative and release what you want. That, and my managers, they've been having me going to LA a lot. I've been, like I said, working with Elton John, producer, and some other engineers, Tony Maserati, top engineer. So I've been able to, and I've been working with TDE, Kendrick Lamar labels. So, and just like other house people, working with more stuff with Cal Hall. So really, it's been some great things that's going to be coming, definitely for the years, coming up for the future. I guess I'm building ahead of time so I can then trying to get into like doing music for films. Cause I love touring. Touring is a great thing, but I'm like, I was having a talk with Roy Jones, talking to him, Roy Davis Jr., and he just was telling me, he was like, yo, that touring can take toll on your body. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool for the money. You'll be like, oh, yes. But when you playing a lot, I was like, I don't want to live my life every day like that, like where I have to always tour. So I want to get more into doing things with film and things where I can be able to be relaxed. And not only just that, I can be able to still be creative with my music. Because I noticed when I was touring, I ain't have it was great, but I ain't had no time to go to the studio. It always was like your computer, you just made something quick. But I feel like now it's just more freedom. You want to have freedom to still be able to be creative in what you do. And then too, I want to be able to use those things of film and different things to invest in myself, to be able to put out the music that I want to put out. And I don't have to be running around for the cheese and like, hey, I can invest in myself and put out artists and help other people. So really, that's my joy, being able to help my friends from my city and different other places and make things the same way pioneers help me and make ways for them too as well. You know what I mean? So that's my happiness. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're doing with Talknoise. There's been a couple of releases so far now. There's just this year, right? It's a new imprint for you. This is your label, Talknoise, yeah?
Yes, this is my label. So man, and I forgot to even add. There's so much stuff I be working on. I got a project that will be coming out with Heath Records with Damn Swindle. I was about to say Detroit Swindle. They changed their name. It's Damn Swindle. Yes. But doing a release with them, and then I'm doing something with Surge from Clone Records. Going to have a release soon with Clone. Yeah, so amazing. Yeah, so nice.
And but with Talknoise, what's coming out next with Talknoise? Have you got anything, any new artists that you're wanting to work with that you want to put on this label?
Self Davis Jr. I love his music. Oh my god!
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
Yes. So him trying to get back with LA to work with some of that, which I was a huge scene, the beat scene. Computer J, doing stuff as well. With some of the people that's in my city, in Atlanta too as well. Stefan Rainer, just different, But yeah, I'm just kind of keeping it exclusive. You know what I mean? Not letting people know, but. Yeah, it's going to be some nice stuff. Definitely, that's going to be dropping on the label. Definitely,
fantastic.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, how you mentioned before you're married, you've got kids, or one daughter. Yeah, you've got a daughter.
3.
Wow. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm glad I'm asking you this. How's that been? How's that been for you? Like, sort of balancing family life and music life and I'm sure throughout time you've fine-tuned it. Tell me a bit about your process into sort of being a family man and balancing your career and that life.
It's been a nice balance. That's one thing I can say. I always had a great balance when it comes to balancing my family life and being able to do my music. What I do, I work on my music ahead of time, at nighttime, and then so it's kind of like a balance, where I give my music. It's kind of like a ritual, you know what I mean? Where I start off with the meditation, spend time with the family, and then work on my music. So in a way, it kind of helps. I kind of like being pressured under those type of things because I feel like with me, it's like me. It's kind of crazy to say I miss working a job, a 9 to 5. It was great because working a job, it inspired me, It's when you're dealing with the job and the boss is acting funny with you and stuff like that, it inspires you to go harder. For me, go harder. It's like inspiration to push yourself more. Because I feel like when you got time on your hand and you just relaxing, I guess for me having a family and having and my wife and my kids, it gives me more of a question. Why do you do this? Yes, it's for the love, but I have more of a reason why I do this. And it pushes me and pushes my drive even more heavier, toward just that. But after the pandemic, that did help because I got a manager. So I guess by me having a manager, that really helped too. I was able to tell them the things because when that pandemic hit, the gigs dropped, everything just shut down. So I had to kind of think in a way like, okay, I got my family, how I'm going to be able to financially be able to handle everything. So I was able to explain to my manager, like, I always want to get into film music. I want to work with different artists. I want to do this and that. And they was able to write like a plan, and we got that plan together. And ever since the plan, like, they've been making things happen where I can still travel, but I can be here in my space creating music, and I can still financially be able to take care of my family and make balance and be there with my family. So definitely is I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not easy. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Sure. It's a step.
It sounds like your family and like the management as well. It kind of helps, like having that it helps you with disciplines. Like because when you're working for someone, you've got to like go but when you're working for yourself, it requires a different level of disciplines and of course especially when you've got a family to look after, he's going to give you the reasons why, and it's going to put you in that mindset where. But what about touring? Like, what happens when you're touring?
Right.
How does that affect your family life? Like when you're on the road? Yeah.
Oh, really? You don't, because that's one thing I can say. When I'm home and I'm here, I take care of everything. Like, I'm making sure my wife's straight. We making sure the food. I'm handling everything.
Yeah.
So by the time I tour, I'm not going long. Like, as I tell my, my agents and my friends, I try to be gone for 3 weeks at the longest. And I have a supporting wife that she understands that, you know what I mean? So that definitely plays a part. Some people might not have that. And, it becomes complicated.
Yeah.
But for me, I knew her since high school, like way back. So we definitely got a heavy connection. So, but during the touring, I be gone for 3 weeks and then I come back. So in a way, it's kind of good because I kind of refresh myself. I can breathe for a minute. and I soak up inspiration. I do things that some people play, but when I go over to a country, I go and visit art galleries and different places, get inspiration, make music. And by the time we come back, it's a heavier connection. So it definitely helps. You know what I mean? It makes me really don't do the things like I used to do. When you go on tour, you just play and you go in the room. But now it's like I'm out there. I'm networking with artists. I'm talking to artists. I'm trying to make my time useful as much as I can to work with different people. And then by the time I come back, it inspires me. Because in my city, in Birmingham, Alabama, I don't like it, but I like it. I like it for the nature. The nature is great. And it's a great place for me and my family where it keeps me focused. Because I can imagine if I was in LA or New York, by me just going to LA one time, it was just, oh my God, it was like almost like some Rick James type of stuff. Where it's kind of like, it's like that movie when Ray Charles was like, I love LA, you can fly. You know what I mean? Like the little movie. So like his life was like, but I can't say Alabama keeps me balanced and it keeps me, so by the time I come, I'm able to take my time, work on my project, spend time with family. And like I said, when touring, it don't affect me now in the beginning, but like I said, I had a supportive wife. It helped me to be able to be gone. But after, even when I was gone for a month, I was like, no, I can't do that. That's just too much. It's just a lot that people don't think that comes with touring. Like a lot of my friends, like, I cannot wait to tour like you, how you was touring. I was like, it's great, but it's like people don't think about what artists go through. Like you have to deal with going on a plane, not even just a plane, but it's like getting off that plane. And it's more crazy now since the pandemic. Different things you just have to go through just to get through and then play. You have to, it's so much moving you have to constantly do. And I guess I'm getting older, and then especially learning from the older OGs telling me like, no, you don't want to mess your body up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but it's a balance. It's all about balance.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you brought that up though. Having the right supportive partner must be like, I think with whatever career you're doing, like I think it's a big part of that, and keeping healthy so you can manage the touring.
Yes,
I'm hearing the same thing from older cats who are touring now, and because it is obviously when you're younger, you can.
Yes,
take a few more beatings.
Because right now I'm trying to think. Ooh, I'm 34 now, so it's kind of like I can tell like things is a little changing. Like when I just go, I'm like, ooh, like you can't do all this stuff. You can't live because every day when you tour, it's like every day for you is a party. Like you got people running up to you. They want you. They like, come on, I want you to smoke. Yeah. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I'm like, no, thank you so much. But I appreciate it. But that stuff, if you're not taking care of, that's why I tell people health is wealth. How you take care of your health really plays a part of how you're going to make it in life. If you don't take care of your health, it would definitely tear you down and you won't be able to make music or really stay on top. You'll just be there for that moment and you'll fall. So definitely you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah. No, we've definitely been seeing a lot of people who are coming out and discussing that, and seeing other artists who've taken a fall for that. Not looking after their mental health and their health on touring. And Byron, it was an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and your wisdom and experiences. This was really such a pleasure to chat with you.
And thank you so
much.
No, and thank you so much. I'm happy you opening this outlet for people because it made me feel good because I'm like, when I saw your interviews and the other interviews, I'm like, I like this. That's what I want to do. And I like it because you able to get these interviews and it's inspiring other people that's going through the same thing, and it pushes them. So thank you for this whole platform. Appreciate everything.
Thank you. Look, we're still at a baby phase, but we're my intentions here is to be able to through the words of people in the industry to share their stories, because I don't think there's enough of it out there. And
not at all.
We can.
Right.
Yeah, we can talk about music releases and stuff, but I think getting more into the minds and the lives of people who are actually doing it can give insight to people who are, are aspiring and want to get into it, to give them understanding of what is involved, like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You're right. I say definitely. They want to know. Because that's the problem. I think some nothing not wrong with that, but some artists won't really tell you. I had to learn. Some artists they'll just give you little small things, but they won't tell you the whole thing. When you get in it, you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So thank you for this platform.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. All right, take care.
Okay, you too. Peace.